Hello everyone and welcome back to Factory Town, where in the last episode we set up a little bit of a logic system that is controlling our cart, and we moved away from having a specific filtered cart into having carts that will decide where they should go based on what's there to be picked up, and they will only be active when there is a full inventory's worth of produce to be collected. Now, at the end of the last episode, I mentioned that I did want to set up a blocker whereby our carts aren't constantly in motion. They'll stop when there's nothing for them to do and will only become active when there is something to be picked up. Now, to set this up, we're going to need a sequence of math blocks. Effectively, there is no sum block that will do this automatically for us. We're going to have to build the sum ourselves. And that's going to be fairly straightforward. We want to take the output of whether this has something in it and add it to the output of whether this has something in it, and then pass that on to a number block, which we will place here. And that one will feed through. Currently, there is nothing to be added. But how are we going to update this? Well, it would be fairly simple. We could have the block over here add the output of this this math block. So in this case, it's a true-false function. We're checking whether the contents of this silo is greater than or equal to 20. If it is, then it outputs 1 or true. If it is not, it outputs 0 or false. Well, we want to change what this math block is adding based on that function. So for this, we're going to need a set block. So we'll pop these set blocks down. Now we'll hook these up. Now, if you recall, a set block will only change the value of the next block in the chain, but won't cause that block to trigger the chain. So for example, in this case, if we hook this up to this set block, then this would cause this to change the value of this math block. Now, the function is add. So if this didn't have 20 or it was 19 or less, then it would change this block to 0. This would change this math block to 0, but wouldn't cause a reevaluation. Now that is, in and of itself, a bit of a problem. We want it to. But more than anything, I don't want to have this whole system constantly sending signals. I only want to be alerted when something of relevance changes. So, by having the delta block, which will store a value, but will only pass that along if it's different from the value it currently has stored. So in this case, this is currently outputting 1 because it's greater than 20. So this is outputting 1, but that only happened the first time. If we notice another item get deposited, for example, the next piece of bread that come along, dread. It was a little bit too fast. Let's see. Now, damn you. Well, anyway, effectively, we won't need to wait for it. But when this updates, there we go. We just saw it there. This one didn't pass the signal along because it hasn't changed anything. So I want the delta block to also change the set block, which will in turn change these. And furthermore, whenever this delta block activates, I want it to trigger the whole math process. So we're going to need to build one final block, and that is the logic pusher, a block that triggers another block's output without modifying it. So I'm going to put the logic pusher right at the beginning of our math chain. There we go. And this delta block, wow, you're a busy bee, aren't you? Whenever these change, it will trigger the logic pusher and it'll push down. Now, unfortunately, we don't have a way of changing this because the delta blocks have already changed to the affirmative state. So I'm just going to sneakily turn that on and off. There we go. This should cause things to update, or at least they should do. Has this got more than, it's got more than 20. Okay, well, turn that off. There we go. That should cause that to all adjust. Now, this one still does technically have more than 20. So this will always still have 1. This one already has 1. So these should all go together to turn this off. Now we're going to need to see that adjust to see whether this is working or not. So go down there, grab things up, +0. Why is that number block not changing? This should take the output of all of these blocks. That is at least what I'd hoped. Oh, that would probably be it. We're not actually performing the math function at all. What a derp I am. It's fine though. As soon as something changes here, which will probably be the first cart to come and collect from this silo, then everything should update correctly. So you're not going to be allowed down there, but you should be allowed in here. Boom. There we go. All correct and in order. Now these will sit here. Probably the bread is going to be the one that changes this. But for now, this cart is just going to happily sit there until this silo reads 20. And then it'll pass it down. Or, with that being said, this one is producing things reasonably fast. Now, the other thing I mentioned is that we are probably going to want to set up a dedicated kitchen for making the chicken as well. Now, you should be popped in there because we do not have enough. But there we go. Boom. And you're out. And also you're out as well, unfortunately. You shouldn't be. But, oh, did you pick something up? You didn't. But what happened here is this minecart, because they were so close together, it allowed the system to let one through. There are ways that we could change that using magic rails or even little speed bumps to make sure that the next cart going through the center has to have a bit of a delay before it can get over the hump in the rails and move on. But for the time being, this should be fine. We know that this now works though. By the time they get around, this will reset again. There we go. There we are. That should work a little bit better this time. There we go. Everything is as it should be, and our people will be getting fed. Marvelous. I mean, slowly. They'll be getting fed slowly. Okay. So the next thing I would like to do, I would like to set up a kitchen for the acquisition of cooked chicken. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's place a break in the conveyor belt right here, and we'll allow this to filter through. All right, we're going to want a kitchen. Possibly two. It's difficult to say because we could quite happily use the output of two kitchens. But whether I should or not, I guess it doesn't hurt for me to place it over here for the time being, regardless, and then we can plan around. The problem here is that I don't know if I'm producing enough chicken to make use of a kitchen dedicated to the production of cooked chicken, but we'll have to see. Let's get you connected up. Right, we're going to want some fuel over here. How are we going to deliver this? I could peel it off from here and send it around. That is an option, but I might want to adjust things a little bit for that one if I were to do it that way. The alternative is to deliver it across these. That is also an option. Sure, let's go for that then. Let's have these moving along and then coming down on this side like so. There we are. Now we're going to need a conveyor to get it up onto these. Onto the... Oh, why can't I place this anymore? I usually can drag, but that's fine. We'll place these manually. We're going to need archways over the conveyors, but that is okay for now. And once again, we will peel off some of the wood there. Another splitter as well. Not making the most efficient use of splitters, to be fair, but for the time being, that should be fine. There we go. We can deliver this all the way down and just, well, we could have this delivered directly into the side of the kitchen. That would allow us to have another kitchen in this space, but for the time being, I think we'll just set it up like that. That should be fine, and then we'll start delivering the cooked chicken directly. There we go. We can remove cooked chicken from this setup now. There we are. Perfect. I think that should work quite nicely. Now, again, we may end up with cooked chicken being the... well, actually, I think it's going to be cheese. It'll definitely be cheese that holds up. Though, that being said, if this was outputting enough milk that both of these had ample, then I'm not sure exactly which one would be the bottleneck at that point, because both of these would be producing one cheese at the same speed that we're producing one cooked chicken. And it is all used to 1 for 1. That's very interesting. It would all come down to how fast we could produce everything in there. But whilst we're waiting on that, let's go ahead and clear up this entire area. Let's go, there we are. Let's get a bit of a bigger resource removal zone. There we go. And we'll shrink this down. Now, with that in mind, I would like to adjust the terrain down all the way around here, just to make sure that we can deliver everything as needed. Now, I mentioned that I would like to set up some more grain farms. And that is absolutely true. How we're going to set these up, though, that's a little bit more of a tricky question to answer. Now, ideally speaking, I would like to feed all of the grain for these. Well, a pair each would work, and we could set that up as we have right now, though certainly having 3 grain farms feeding into each one is a little bit better. We could do away with this silo entirely. In fact, we could just feed it directly in. I do like having the silo there, but only in the case where we're slightly overproducing or we're trying to split between areas. But if I'm sending 2 grain farms specifically to each grain mill, then that's not necessarily the best option for us. So let's have a look at what we can do. Let's cut you guys off. Well, let's wait for that to feed through. But we're going to want these to be delivered directly to this grain mill. I mean, we're getting a little bit squished in, honestly. We could probably do with moving all of the grain down here, frankly, and then just having it fed straight up. We could do that, and that would give us a little bit more room for future expansions. I'm not against this idea, actually. Let's fill in this little area here. That should be good. There we are. And we're going to need to properly push this cliff all the way back. Oh, wow, that is now quite a steep cliff, isn't it? Let's give it a little bit of shaping so it doesn't look quite as man-made as it is. Let's be honest, it is quite man-made at this point. And we'll cut all this grass back as well, just so I've got a nice empty area to work with. All right. I want to replicate this farm setup just down here, but we can do that first and foremost by moving. So let's grab the rear farms. We'll have... Let's give us a little bit of extra room. We're not going to need as much space as I'm going to allocate here. But let's try setting this up. Something like this. If in the future I want to have a well, it would make sense to have the field set up a little bit more like this. Right, behind we're going to set up some farm tiles. I would like to make use of as much of the farm tiles as I can, but realistically I don't think I need to. I think having two entire rows on either side of these farms is sufficient. Now I'm placing 4 in the middle because it's going to be the middle between 2 rows, much as we had set up there. Right, next up I would like to pop down some support work. Let's plant some grain just across here in its entirety. There we go. Now, can I get these in there now that I've planted the grain? No, I can't. Oh, that's just annoying. Oh, well. There we go. Let's draw this out. Well, then. Technically, this isn't necessarily a bad system. We can still bring this all the way down and have the chutes running out along here. So 1, 2, well, we're going to want this more or less straight all the way up to the grain mill. There we go. Let's get rid of these tiles where we can. That'll do. Oh, right. I managed to delete a resource that I would rather I had not deleted. Oh, well. Let's remove that. There we go. Right. Let's get you all the way along. I'm going to need... Oh, actually, no. No, we're fine. Let's connect that up there. And then straight down. I'm just... Oh, that is not what I wanted to do. Then we can connect these up along here. Perfect. Right. We just need to start grabbing the produce and we're all good to go. There we are. Excellent. That will work very nicely, and this grain mill will now have about as much as it can possibly get. There we are. So we'll be outputting the flour as fast as we can. There we go. Let's have a look over here. Everything's going well. Yes, cheese is the bottleneck here. Honestly, that isn't necessarily a bad move. We could quite happily set up an extra a chicken stockpile and just start feeding the chicken to our people over here, and that would give them some meat as well. which should give him a little bit of extra happiness, I would imagine. We could set that up in the short term. Sure. Okay. Let's do that then. Let's make another system like so. There we are. And we're going to want probably this to feed in like this. There we go. For the time being, actually we're going to need to get rid of a lot of that. There we are. We are going to want this whole system to take this kind of shape. There we are. Unfortunately, we're going to need to recreate this logic down here. In fact, looking at this, I'm going to need to pull it back even further. There we are. Oh, dread. There we go. That should work, and it should allow us to put in all the necessary computation blocks. So we're going to want a number block right here, a math block, and another math block right about there. This one will be set up much the same way. So we're going to want a set block here. There we go. That will feed in there. This one will feed over there. And then this one will feed in there. Right now, I'm going to set the value to 0 just to allow this to operate correctly while we're setting everything else up. So that will feed in there, and then this across, and then down. There we go. Perfect, perfect, and indeed perfect. Right, with all of that done, I can go ahead and remove those blocks. There we go. And with that, we should see the whole system is live. Excellent. All right, so let's go ahead and set up everything else we need. We are going to want an inventory sensor right about here. We're going to want an agent trigger there. We'll want a, let's find a delta block right down here. Another inventory sensor and a number. Oh, well, actually, bool, we'll plot that one in first. Another number block right here, and finally the where are we? The math blocks, one there and there. I wish there were an easy way to copy things over. I don't know whether there is or is not. In all fairness, that one I just don't know. I'm going to need that one fed from you, which needs to show greater than or equal to 20. There we go. This one feeds down to the delta. The delta block then feeds to 3 different locations. One there, one the set block, and finally one the pusher all the way over there. My lord, that's a very, very long way away. Let's hook that up. Same as this one. Both of these hook up. I want this to check for less than 1. There, oh, that is not correct. There we go. This one passed down. This one should pass onto the AND block. And this one finally should feed in. There we go. Marvelous. We can now build our silo. And the beautiful thing about this whole system is that I'm not having to set any kind of dedicated checks. Even this can go away at this point. We no longer... Oh, wait. Ah, yes. My bad. Let's get rid of that one, shall we? And the whole thing. I could have used the move block there, but it's fine. There we go. Right. Okay, well, that's fine. I could change a few things in here just to get rid of that, but that's okay for now. It's never going to refill. Now, with that done, I want to ensure that my... we're going to need to change the rotation of this particular tile, just like so, but I'm going to then want a pusher block. Now, the reason why I've changed the orientation is because a pusher block on a straight conveyor will never, if it's pushing in this direction, would never result in anything going in this direction. And I'd need a logic block to set that up correctly otherwise. But right now, this should work. In fact, we should see this one fill up really, really quite quickly. All right, what is the problem here? Oh, of course, yes, there was one last thing. And that was, of course, I need to set this up. There we go. That should all be correctly hooked up now. There we are. And, oh, what's going on there? The delta block Should have correctly set. Yeah, there we are. Everything is set correctly. Marvelous. Let's see. A bunch of chicken delivered. So much chicken. Marvelous. I approve. People should be happy. Yes, they've got 2 smiley faces. These are good times. Let's make sure that that is all correct. Yes, it is. Excellent. So we've got one location that has got enough. We've got 20 sandwiches. One of these carts is going to immediately stop in the cart waiting bay. There we are. Oh, wait, no. What is happening here? Why is this updating that? What is this being... Oh, really? Let me check. You're being fed by the delta block. What is feeding the delta block? Ah, it seems that I have got the delta block being fed by the wrong things. My bad. I need the delta block feeding this, not the other way around. There we are. It's really, really quite difficult to see how that all hooks up. But let's just go through. There we go. That's a bit better now. And everything should now be correctly set. There we are. Perfect. Everything is working as intended. And we are even feeding our people some meat as well. They're getting a nice varied diet. I'm very pleased by this. Very pleased. Okay, so let's continue setting up our little farming area. Now, we're currently feeding all of that across there. I would like to have probably 2 farms on this side directly feeding this. And right now it's doing a fairly good job. We don't really need to change things, but it doesn't look very good as far as I'm concerned. How could we make this better? Right now we're not getting out the produce as much as we'd like. Still, let's go ahead and just move things over just to tidy stuff up, shall we? I think so, yes. Let's get you in there and you across there. There we go. And once again, we're going to want farm tiles up behind, only 2 back. There we go. I think that should be quite enough to allow us to get everything we realistically need. And with that, we'll place down a couple of tiles. And in fact, we can go ahead and start deleting these. I think we're getting to a fairly good position right now. There we go. Sorry, a little bit of grain. You are surplus to demand. Furthermore, let's go ahead and remove all these resources. There we go. And sure, honestly, we might as well. Then we can get rid of all of this as well. We're going to need to move everything down with time anyway. In fact, let's go ahead and move the remainder as well. I could, at this stage, considering I'm feeding these items back, and I do want more farms, I'm thinking that we probably want to set this up with more of a horizontal direction, depending on what your orientation is. There we go. We'll get that one in there, and this one across there. I've placed that one. No, I have placed it in the right place. Okay, good. Right, let's remove all of this. Now that is going to slow down the production of everything for a little while, but it'll be fine. I promise. There we go. And get all of this sorted out. It'll be well worth it when all of this is correctly set up for us. There you go. And it's expandable as well, which is the more important part is its expandability. Right, so let's get the farm tiles down. First and indeed foremost, we want 2 back in every direction. There we go. And same around here. And eventually 2 out in this direction as well, because we're going to have another 2 farms over there. In fact, sure, because I know I'm going to do it. Let's set that up right now as well. Unfortunately, I'm going to need to grab... Oops. Going to need to get the... Oh, damn it. The forest over here removed. There we go. And then we can plant some grain after that. So, grain. Let's get the whole thing planted. There you are. Perfect. Right, and exactly the same thing on this side. We want a little ramp going down. We're actually going to want... Oh no, we're going to want to bring it up a little bit higher, aren't we? Yes, we are. Let's get these out in their respective directions. Oops, there we go. Oops, again. There we are. And on this side, we just have the ramps bringing this down, where they can tuck underneath and then move along. Perfect. I like. Right, the first chutes will need to come down and probably nip around and then feed up into this mill over there. That's already emptied out at this point. Now that is why I like having a buffer, is because we can extend beyond moments like this and actually still have production going on, but oh well. We want the chute all the way across. There we are. And we can set up the grabbers. In fact, we can set the grabbers up everywhere. That won't be a problem. There we go. Right, that's one. We are going to want to bring the pillars all the way out. There we go. Now, we don't strictly need to do this for the archways, but I kind of like it. Having the blocks on every single tile when it's above another chute. And around the corner. There we go. Perfect. These farms should be able to keep this grain mill, at the very least, outputting at full speed. Marvellous. Right, now we just need to set up the other one as well, and we're cooking with fire. Let's get you down here. We'll leave a little bit of room. I think would be wise here, just in case. It does seem that you can't take corners with these, though, for some strange reason. I'm not really sure on the reasoning behind that, but it's good to note. And then around. I'm really liking building vertically with this. That's so convenient. There we are. Okay, so that's a better system than we had previously. You know what? We may as well make use of these little gaps here as well. There's no reason not to. All that being said, though, actually, eventually we'll probably want further conveyors through there, perhaps. That said, this is the only configuration that's realistically going to work in any kind of easy method for us. So we won't. We'll just plant some grain there as well. Just a little bit of extras. Right, okay, so with that in place, we could at this stage, if we really wanted to, have a little bit more. Are we producing more animal feed than we're using? No, not even close, unfortunately. That is a bit of a problem, but we could get another chicken set up. That is a possibility. I think we were looking at the option of setting up protein shakes. Now, if we have a quick look at what that requires, a protein shake is going to need sugar, eggs, and milk. All right. Well, we could have this one pasture making eggs as well, but that's going to be a bit of a tricky one. That said, we are actually starting to stockpile resources, but it's only because chicken is completely backlogged. I'm not fancying our chances there, especially not as we add more and more people. So on that note, why don't we go ahead and set up our Steam network? We are currently using 100% of our power. Really, are we? Are you sure about that? I guess it's possible we have. Switch to Steam. Are we hooked everything up correctly? Oh, it looks like we have. Well. Okay, well, we can easily solve this by adding in another location. Sure. Let's add in a new Steam power plant just down here so that we can get a little bit more power going in, because we can do this without using more peeps. And that is a very, very good system to have. There we go. One of the nice things about pastures is you can increase their production without adding more people. You just need to spend more resources on making the pasture better, which is fine by me. Let's go ahead and add in the pipes. So first and foremost, let's add in some connectors. Sure. Something like this. And something like that. There we go. We're going to want all of these hooked up eventually. That should be good enough. Right, let's hook these all up with steam. Yeah. And across there. Trying to use the least amount of connectors as I can. And then, oh, we're out of steam pipes. Really? Wow. It was going to happen. Fair enough. Let's have a look at you. There we are. 250% production now, but we are going to need more pipes to be made. Ugh, that's a bit of a pain. But we're almost hooked up now, so I doubt it's going to be too hard to get the last little bit. There we go. And everything should now be connected and getting 100% of its power. And we've still got a 82% left over. That should have made a bit of a difference for our pastures. Now, are we starting to stockpile? We're not. I think probably time that we increase the amount of workers in the grain mills to their maximum. There we are. Now we should start seeing things stockpiling. Good, good, good. At this stage, I would say that I would like animal feed to go primarily to the cow pen, because that's the one that we need the most of right now. That's where our backlog is, so sure. Let's go ahead and be a little bit more picky with the way that we set this one up. We're just going to deliver that directly in and pop down a grabber. And that means that the pasture is going to get a little bit more of a priority on the animal feed than any of the others. But that is fine by me. There we go. Look at all of that milk being delivered. Fantastic. Right, we're not going to increase the workers here, but I am going to increase the overall speed of the pasture quite a lot by dumping lots of resources into it. There we go. Look at that. Perfect. We are now seeing cheese is going to start, well, it'll still be our bottleneck, but it'll be a bit less of one. There we are. None of these have, oh, wait. No, that should have updated. Why has it not? This is not updating correctly. What is the problem there then? That should be connected up. What's the issue here? This should show 0. It does. So why is this not allowing that through? Less than 1. That should be true. It's connected up correctly. Let's just make sure that the shape is the same. Yep, I guess it just hasn't been updated in a while. Ooh. Well, I suppose I could... I guess that's causing some sort of backlog there. Alright, well, there is a way that we can fix that. I can have the delta block no longer connect up to the AND function and instead run that directly off the inventory. Of course, unfortunately, the way that this is working right now means that I'm going to turn that on. There we go. This will need to update a little bit. They can get jammed, basically. Once that's at full, it can jam the whole system. This should be working, though. And, in fact, it is working. Okay, that's a bit better. Oh, wait, no, that is not connected. Oh! Well, then there was the problem, more than likely. Ah, well, it should be fine. We're just having the delta block control the setting there. This one has 28, that's fine. Why have you still got chicken? I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I feel that that is not optimal. It was probably that you could only take 20 chicken at a time. Let's drop those off. There we go. There we go. And now you should be able to drop in and collect more chicken on the way back. We'll just make sure that this actually works as intended. This is unfortunately a little bit easy for this to get confused. But with that, we've got the silo over there needs more. This one definitely needs more. So why has that not changed? I guess this needs to drop below 0 first. No, that is not working correctly. Alright, so... this really should have already triggered. Math block is greater than 20, less than 1. That is correct. Right. Okay, well, there's no obvious reason why this is not working. I think the delta block may be messing with things, possibly. It's hard to say. Oh, wait. The whole time I didn't offset it. What a fool I have been. I imagine so many people would... Aavak, please, it's hurting our brains. Why? I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry for my turpitude. Unfortunately, that does now need to be updated, so I'm going to need to activate this and deactivate this one and also not have them connected. Oh, really? Damn you. Okay, turn that one off. Okay, we're fine. It's going to work. I promise. I need you to be turned on. As soon as this works once, we're good. Right, okay. Now I can hook it back up. No, not that way, you fool. There. Oh, my lord. There we go. And this is now correctly updating. There we are. Oh, finally. It's all... this is what happens when you start making things complicated. How are we doing with output of animal feed? Not great. This is easily using up that animal feed faster than we can make it. Which is, I guess, fine, but not really. I really would prefer if this was... I see. It is now down to the fact that our farms aren't producing quite as quickly. So let's add in a couple of workers to each one. In fact, let's bring each farm up to 5 workers. I don't know if we're going to need more than that, but we'll see. Let's bring these up to 5. There we go. That's a little bit better to see. Over here, we don't need that. We're saturating this grain mill. We're not getting the flour out any faster. And we are actually starting to stockpile grain a little bit. Yes, very slightly. We're just starting to stockpile the grain ever so slightly. So that's fine. Okay, that is excellent, in fact. At this stage, we should be seeing the animal feed coming up more or less as fast as we possibly can. There we are. Still... yeah, with the stockpile, if that's still not producing enough, then the problem lies elsewhere. And there's not a lot that we can do about that one. Where we only have 1 worker here, it's just capable of using up the animal feed much faster than I would like. But with that done, I think we're going to wrap up this episode there. We've rejigged the sandwich area once again, but at this point we're delivering bread, we're delivering sandwiches, and we're delivering cooked chicken. I think the people here really have no place to complain. No doubt they will anyway, because that is life. But I think with that, we're going to start bringing over some more of the houses from over here. If we have a look at them, how happy are they? They're generally fairly happy. It's because they're getting fruit as well. Okay, well that is definitely something we can look into. Fruit and veg. What would be the best one? Veggie stew or fruit juice? Let's have a look at you. If we have a look at the categories, in terms of fruit juice is fine. It's the same as... well, actually, no. Veggie stew would be the better one, but that one's complicated to make. Really complicated to make. We have a look at veggie stew. We're going to need tomatoes, potatoes, and carrots. That being said, they can all be made by a single building, and it requires only 6 of them, so... yeah, alright. We can probably do that. I'm going to make the protein shakes first. That's going to be the focus of the next episode. But we will also start looking into making some veggie stew as well. But that is going to be it from me for now. I really do hope you've enjoyed this episode and will be joining me for the next. But until then, and as always, do take care, everyone.